I think it's more important to make a lot of different things and keep coming up with new images and things that were never made before than to do one thing and do it well. They come out fast, but I mean, it's a fast world.
That was the world-renowned artist Keith Haring. But who was he, and how did he get his start? I will be getting into that and more in this podcast, so stay tuned. Keith Haring was originally born in Reading, Pennsylvania on May 4th, 1958. This was a very eventful time. The Vietnam War, the moon landing, the Civil Rights Movement, and the Stonewall Riots all happened during his formative years in childhood. Haring enjoyed a lot of cartoons and illustrations as a kid, including the works of Looney Tunes, Dr. Seuss, and Disney. This gave him early exposure and appreciation for art, and he eventually enrolled in the Ivy School of Professional Art in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to study commercial art. He dropped out and soon moved to New York City. Haring started going to the School of Visual Arts there in 1978 and became involved with the booming art scene, where he befriended local artists including Jean-Michel Basquiat and Kenny Sharp. In New York City, Haring's art career really took off. He saw the plain black paper of unused advertisement spaces throughout the subway system and used them to make his own art pieces using chalk. Iconic trademarks of his, such as the cartoon figures, dogs, and babies, were all drawn on those advertising spaces where many people saw them on their daily commute through the New York City subway system. He was arrested several times throughout his life while doing this, but he never stopped, even as a world-famous artist. During the 1980s, Keith Haring's career as an artist grew almost exponentially. He had his first solo exhibition in 1981 in the West Village. He found lots of work, including making art for advertisement campaigns and painting murals around the world. 1986 in particular was a busy year for Haring. He opened up his own store in Soho called the Pop Shop, where he sold his own merchandise of his iconic designs and symbols. In the same year, he also had a museum exhibition in Amsterdam, created a 90-foot banner for the 100-year anniversary of the Statue of Liberty, painted a 980-foot mural on the Berlin Wall, and painted Crack is Whack, a mural in East Harlem that he was arrested for. During the 80s, he also befriended and collaborated with many other artists. Famous pop artist Andy Warhol became a friend and mentor of Keith Haring. He made album art for David Bowie, befriended Madonna, and made art for a Grace Jones music video. Despite being socially and commercially successful, Keith Haring was criticized in the high art world for his simple and accessible art style.
Is it in some ways significant grappling with important issues? And I think you have to say that Keith Haring's work, while fun, no. It's fast food.
Despite the words of some art critics, Haring continued to have a successful career and made art more accessible for everyone. In 1987, he painted an 88-foot tall mural for a children's hospital in Paris. He also hosted workshops around the world where he worked with kids to make art. During the late 80s, Haring raised awareness for the AIDS epidemic through both his artwork and by establishing the Keith Haring Foundation. The AIDS epidemic was especially damaging to the LGBT community, which Keith Haring was a part of as a gay man. Haring himself was diagnosed with AIDS in 1988 and eventually died from complications in 1990. Throughout his life, Haring made over 10,000 art pieces, including painting over 40 murals around the world. His contributions to the world can still be seen today, as his murals are preserved and his original paintings sell for multiple millions of dollars each. Through his subway drawings, large murals, workshops, merchandise, and political activism, he helped make art more accessible to the general public and made a lasting impact on the world.
I like the idea of things lasting longer than you last, and being somewhere where lots of people can see them for a long time.